Hey, welcome to the ANNABELIZATION podcast, live to you in Morocco, first episode. I'm so excited. I'm here with Yassin, who is not only an amazing artist, he's also an amazing surf coach.
Thank you so much.
Helped me pop up and get up on some waves.
So happy to be a guest in this podcast for today.
Thank you for accepting. You know, I really wanted to showcase your talent because I heard you play 2 days ago.
Yes.
And you're this amazing DJ, you mix, you make these sounds and you really take us on a journey.
Much appreciated. So happy you like that.
I did.
By the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so then I asked you a bit more about like, what do you play? And then you told me that you played handpan.
Yes.
So today we're going to check this out.
Yes. It's going to be so good, and actually I'm happy and proud to be expressing more about this instrument, which is a handpan. I really appreciate to play, and I really appreciate people who actually thought and even made this instrument. This is great. To whoever made this, thank you. Like, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a Swiss instrument, right?
It is a Swiss instrument, yeah.
The Swiss connection follows me everywhere.
Yeah.
Even when I try to run away from it.
I mean, no, they did some amazing job, honestly.
Yeah, so how come you have this handpan?
Well, I have a great friend of mine in my life called Lou, and she's the one actually who gave me this handpan as a birthday present. And like first time I played this, I saw it at a friend, and I was just curious. I was like, okay, just hand me that. I'm curious to know what is it, you know. Especially with the sound, it was just great. So I just have the instrument in my head, and I'm just figuring out what it would be like. You can just figure out many different things. Like, you don't need to know much about it. You could just get to feel the rhythm.
Yeah.
And then afterwards it just flows in. So I was really hooked to this instrument since first time I tried it.
No way.
I was just thinking, okay, well, I need one of those. And then when I was talking to my friend about it, like I was like, I just didn't know how crazy it was and stuff. She was like, okay, cool, yeah. I play these in Switzerland as well. Like, she's a player as well in Switzerland.
Okay.
And they have a club actually where they play and stuff.
No way.
So it's really great.
Okay, before we get into like your life story, I want to make sure that our viewers and listeners have really understood like your artistic name. So it's Rhythmic Locks.
Exactly.
I love your dreadlocks.
Well, yeah, it's coming from the locks. And
yeah, and this is Yassin. Is that how you say it? Okay,
exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I really want to know first of all where you're from. And how did you grow up? Did you grow up with music in your life?
Yeah, I grew up more or less with music in my life. Like, I grew up in a family where my uncle actually was the first introduction for me in music, because he used to always play music whenever we were around. And, you know, I grew up technically to traditional Moroccan music, which is like complete different build up, because the rhythms in there are like different counts, and the melodies are also based different. And I'm from a place which is called Oulad Taima, which is nearby the city Agadir.
Okay.
And in all of Morocco, we're like kind of in this town known by having like a unique style of rhythm.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And
can you show me the rhythm that's for that town?
I mean, the rhythms are actually based on a very interesting way to play it. It's like, it goes really faster and faster. I mean, I cannot really show you the way that this rhythm goes on this instrument. It's kind of sound different.
But it still gave me an idea.
Yeah, but the rhythm in everything there, like, because it's multiple players and it's live music in general, so you have actually different individuals which are all participating in the rhythm, which include claps, which include like people playing with metal sticks and different things.
That's super complex.
Yeah, it's a bit complex, I would say.
So you grew up with that, so already from a young age your ear was really formed.
Yeah, like it's pretty normal for most of the people which are there, since they're kind of like party people, but in our traditional way. So more or less whenever there is like something good happening around the town, you'll find just people hanging around making a tagine or something, which is the traditional thing to do as a Moroccan.
I had one yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And then in the process of making the tagine, you know, you'll find just guys or maybe ladies all over just the place, and they're just playing instruments and just having fun. So they're creating a kind of connection which is based on music which is based on rhythm in the first place.
Yeah.
So
That's
there is like
amazing.
rhythm more or less in everything. So
I
the people
didn't-
which are cooking also, they're like on the same rhythm. Maybe they're just having fun listening. They're having the same. You see what I mean?
No way. So I
Yeah.
didn't realize that there was a connection with the cooking and the playing and the preparing and
Like whatever is going on as in movement or something, it has a rhythm.
okay, wow.
So whatever you're doing, you could actually do that with a bit more flow if there is like something playing around, you know? And usually for our hometown, it's that kind of music and that kind of rhythms which are being played around, especially with the lyrics, which is the dialect of our hometown. So there is like more or less like meaningful sentences. It's like more or less poetry, but with
Yeah.
really complex rhythm.
Wow.
If I want to say it like in a different angle.
That's really cool. Can you give me a tiny snippet, like an example of these like meaningful sentences?
It's more or less like stories from back in the days. Some of them are like love stories, some of them are like just stories of wisdom or like wise things to say. So this is like the concept.
Yeah. So you wise.
Trying to be, you know.
You inspired me as a wise guy. I was like, he knows what he's talking about.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's so interesting. So, do you feel like that growing up in your hometown with all this around you influenced the way you are now with your music and your playing?
I mean, more or less, it influenced a lot of things when it comes to music I like to play, because when I'm playing an instrument or when I'm mixing or maybe producing a track, the thing is that I will be based on is actually a rhythm. Music in general is three things. It's melody, rhythm, and harmony. So the combination of the three things is what makes music. In each one of us, there is a three elements,
Yeah.
but there is a different percentage of each one of them. Each person got like one of them is more than the others.
Yeah.
So the whole concept is I'm based on rhythm and other people might be based on melody, but there is always one strong point that you can use to simplify things for yourself. So if I'm playing an instrument, I would first of try to play it based on rhythm, which is the thing that I naturally or usually know how to do, in order to build the first understanding of the rhythm.
Yeah.
I might be playing it the wrong way, but the whole idea is to get how does this instrument sound. So later when I'm maybe learning how to use this instrument exactly or the proper way to use it,
Yeah.
you have an idea already about what to combine and you have an idea about what is this instrument able to do, what can I do with this without theory, without anything, just what would my mind say.
Wow.
Like let's say I want to try just something simple. I want to play. It's literally the same 3 points that I was triggering, but if you change the rhythm, it's a vibe. When you change order of what you're tapping, it's a different vibe. So you're just more or less playing between those possibilities of what would be the result.
Yeah.
It's always like a big question mark with all of the instruments, more or less.
Okay.
Different mechanism, different harmonies, different rules, different chords, different theory. But the goal in the first place is one, which is music.
Exactly.
So,
And for you, I mean, have you always been creating tracks and
well, for production, I actually started like 6 months, more or less,
wow.
producing actually.
Okay.
But before, what I used to do is mainly mixing music and just playing a bit of guitar, a bit of bass, a bit of, a bit of instruments with my friends and stuff.
And how is this, like, it's quite new then for you, it's 6 months. How has this changed your relationship with music now that you're producing sounds?
It's really interesting since in the beginning I always had questions about specific, like in electronic music, there is some effects or specific rhythms you would listen to and you would be like, okay, how is it possible to blend frequency to turn it into this way?
Yeah.
So you could say that after I started producing music, I got to understand more and more about what is music actually like. And for producing music, there is 2 ways to do it. There is the analog way and there is the digital way. So if you're using an analog device to produce music, which means you could actually just play the rhythm you want. And then the machine is going to be getting it there, so you could also manipulate it and do more things with it. But then if you're doing that in the digital way, you need to know your things properly, since you're actually drawing a pattern, which means I need to know exactly the count of how many beats I'm tapping,
Yeah.
what's the BPM, in which order I want them exactly, and it's a little bit more complex since you dive really, really deep in the details.
Yeah.
So you could say that production gives the ability of diffusing whatever you're listening to, and it's so helpful when you're mixing music. Because when you're mixing music, at a certain point you would want to create something original from you.
Exactly.
Because mixing in a different aspect also is literally making two tracks sound as one. So
Yeah.
it's creation in a different
Exactly,
aspect.
exactly.
Yeah.
How do you do your own storytelling with rhythm? It feels like you have such a deep connection with rhythm since forever.
Yeah.
And so how do you do your own storytelling? How would you describe it?
I would say that rhythm more or less is how, like, it's the dynamics of my life, or in general everything that I'm surrounded with. Because I'm a surf coach as an example, so when we are in the water, we're trying to have a specific rhythm for our body, based on the fact that we're just human beings against nature,
Yeah.
which is an unlimited source of power. So if you don't have a good rhythm, as an example, paddling,
Yeah.
you get tired pretty quick, and you lose power, and then if you're gonna be finished pretty quick, you will not have as much joy surfing.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing you could apply for loads of different things based on rhythm.
It's true.
Your heart beats every second
Yeah.
based in a rhythm.
And
So
also,
it's-
if you don't create a good rhythm for your
Yeah.
song, then no, people aren't going to listen to it a long time.
Exactly.
Because it's not good.
Yeah. It's a fair point, actually.
Yeah, it's true because this is what you achieve with your music is you create these long tracks and you really take people on a journey.
Yeah, because that's what I believe the goal of music, especially electronic music, since it's the ability to deliver feelings, sentimentals, with just frequencies, literally no lyrics,
Yeah,
which is a bit more complicated than just using lyrics, which is more explicit.
for sure. I mean, actually, to me, that sounds quite difficult.
Yeah.
Because I don't do electronic music, but it's very interesting because you manage to do it. You do convey emotion and you make people feel things. How do you do it? Can you give me an insight?
It's literally just feeling that moment and just merging two things that would harmonize together. It's literally harmony.
Okay, so you're creating harmony with the rhythms and you just know.
It's literally like if you're doing a DJ set, as an example, your track selection or whatever you would play at that moment, because I actually don't plan sets before. I just get to play whatever the moment would require to be played, which is based on just feeling the crowd or listening to what your crowd wants. Because
Yeah.
you could plan something and then you might not end up with the right crowd.
Of course, of course.
Because at the end there you want to listen to music yourself with other people. So we're all in the same journey.
Exactly.
So track selection must be more or less a selection that is gonna be satisfying for different type of listeners.
Yeah.
Because at the end we're trying to make some people listen to some good things.
Exactly.
So you gotta, give it a bit more flavor, as I'd say.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's actually really fascinating to me because initially I would find it so much more challenging if someone told me take people on a journey just with melody and rhythm. I don't do that with my music. But has it ever happened to you that you come to an event and you sense your crowd is in a certain mood and then you want to change their mood and then you watch it happen?
It does happen, actually.
Yeah.
It happens many times. It's just literally at that moment, like you could be playing a certain thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you would look among the crowd, you see there is more potential to break down at that floor. So either you put it higher or lower, as whatever the crowd wants.
Yeah.
See what I mean? But it's required to have like a kind of connection between what you want to do, what do you want to listen to, and what does the other also wants to listen to.
Yeah, I love it.
It's,
So
it's teamwork, more or less.
it's cool. It's you're really kind of community building in that moment, in that concert.
Exactly.
I was wondering for you, you know, when you said you don't prepare your sets and that you improvise. That's to me even more fascinating. I love that. So how do you use music in your life as a tool, like for yourself, for your audience? How would you describe it?
As I told you before, like it's a dynamic for my life for rhythm, but it's for music too. Like if I'm working on my daily life or just doing something, I need music more or less because it gives a rhythm to however would the work flow.
Right.
And also, since I'm an artist and a creator, I also like to see different ideas from other people. So I would listen to music also just out of curiosity, to listen to what another person maybe came out with as a brilliant idea for a track or for like also mixes sometimes. Like I do listen to other people's sets and DJ sets because I try to diffuse what's happening, maybe what is the kind of drop he did, and you know, different techniques. You could learn from each other. This is the whole concept.
Of course.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, I would love to hear something on the handpan.
On the handpan, yeah, sure.
Maybe show us something you like.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll give you a quick explanation also about this instrument.
Please.
So first off, we're playing like among the circles, which are over here. So when I'm playing, I'm trying to make my hand moves in a dynamic way. So it gives a tap, which is not that strong. It can be also stronger, but the idea is I want to touch around the circle so the middle vibrates, so it creates frequency. And we've got high notes on top, low notes over here, and this one is the middle, which is the bass, which is the strongest.
Wow. I loved it. I went on a little journey. I was like closing my eyes. That was really great.
Nice.
I loved it.
Much appreciated.
What were you trying to tell a story?
Yeah, more or less I was just
Vibing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Nothing in mind, just
I could see you were
trying
just
to follow.
feeling it. You were feeling the instrument. I really I wish one day I'll try it Seems really
for
cool.
sure, definitely. Like,
For me, it's a bit of a next step, I think, in my, like, to become a better artist. I really want to work on my rhythm because, like you said, I think rhythm is really so important. And it's the thing that actually, it just moves dynamics in such a more powerful way than anything else.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, that's a good thing. I'm pretty sure you'll be there.
We'll see.
Like, it's pretty obvious, you know.
Yeah, but so can you tell us a bit more about your next projects? Like, what are you excited that you're working on? Maybe we can tell the audience what are your next gigs.
Well, my next gigs actually are pretty soon with like another friend of mine, which is called Lucid. This is his DJ name. Lucid.
Lucid.
As in Lucid.
Ah, like lucid. Like it's clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a
it's
good
a
name.
good friend of mine who's also a DJ and a producer, and we're actually working on a couple of projects recently, but we're not gonna start releasing till actually next October, since we're still planning everything. We're trying to make like a new album,
Cool.
which is going to be mainly electronic music, but it's based on Afro-tech and Afro-house. So it's a bit of like fusion music in between African traditional music from Africa in general, including Morocco, different countries.
Yeah.
And with techno, which is the European blend, I would say. Yeah.
That's really nice.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you how did you learn like all your background in techno, like to understand it?
Well, it's actually coming just through listening.
Yeah.
I've been listening to electronic music for the last 4 or 5 years on a daily basis. And for one reason, which is always trying to find tracks that would be the vibe I want to listen to.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well, I'm actually interested about how does this work. I would want to create something like this.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to understand a bit better how you started doing techno music and why techno, you know?
It's for the same idea actually that I told you before.
Yeah, the flow and
Delivering specific feelings
Yeah.
and specific ideas and messages without needing to use the lyrics. With only frequencies and sounds and beats.
But how come no lyrics? Because you have a nice speaking voice. Maybe you're a good rapper or a good singer and you don't know it.
It could be actually, but for the moment I'm actually more focused about what I can do without using lyrics, because that would be more or less the most regular thing to do, which is the explicit way.
Yeah.
Techno is really interesting since there is like a couple of artists that I'm a big fan of, which changed this view for me. Like there is this German DJ called David August. There is another one called Dixon, another one called Ama. These are like people, Henrik Suarez also, I think. So those are people actually which are changed the whole aspect to techno music from just industrial, couple of beats and then really fast rhythming going on.
Yeah.
To something that is actually beautiful, which is more melodic, more flowy, more mellow. So you can actually sense more in that music.
It's true.
And
it's true.
And it feels even better to get to a specific feelings without someone telling you or directing you into it.
Yeah.
So it's actually
true.
Yeah, so it's actually the listener who is coming out with that result. And as we know, we humans are completely different. Each one is individual and unique. So we don't come out with the same ideas from the same source.
Yeah.
And that's what's more interesting about it. So one thing could be pretty diverse. In which angle do you want to look at it?
It's true. You know, you're really inspiring me to like get more into techno.
It's pretty interesting. I would say maybe give it a try.
Yeah, because I haven't really experienced it that much. I mean, I experienced your concert. That was great.
Thank you.
But it's a really different angle of music and like the way it takes you on a journey in a different way. You're right, and I can see it. I can hear it also. So that's really nice.
You don't actually need to be on drugs in order to go on a journey, because that's what most people think when they kind of hear the music, the word.
So, you know, when you're really in the middle of an amazing wave and you're surfing and you're in that flow, how would you compare that feeling to when you're producing or mixing or really in the music with your crowd?
There are different moments actually, but you feel more or less the same because you're in that space where you're like focused into doing something or making something to happen in that moment. Because when you're on a wave, you react based on what that wave offers you, plus what do you want to do with that offer. And it's the same thing when you're kind of mixing, when you're doing a drop and you feel the crowd is all gonna blast it the moment you hit that filter off, low off, click the button up.
Yeah.
It's more or less requires to really react or do an action based on that moment. So it's both of them are moments that requires you to be focused. And that's what I really like about both of them. They're different in a way. One of them is just you and the board. It's like no one is there to watch it or to give an opinion about it or something. But you still get to really focus about it because you're in the zone already. Like there is a specific zone you get to in your mind and you're like, okay, cool. This is what I'm going to be focused about for the moment.
Yeah.
And you actually care or think neither about anything else at all.
Yeah.
You're like, this is what I want to do for now. Maybe this is my reason to exist for this moment. And you just do it. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I think it leads perfectly to the last question I have for you is about how you having such a strong relationship with the ocean and being a surf coach, how does that actually complement you being an artist and a creator? And
because it gives the balance back. As a DJ and as an artist, you're always in places where there is loudspeakers, there is music, there is action. Sometimes when you're always in that space or in that environment, sometimes you might get tired, you might get drained.
it's true.
And as a solution or as a therapy we do it is actually surfing. Since you just take your board out, complete silence, you hear the sound of the waves, maybe some birds flying over or something, maybe a couple of mates and friends down there, they're also coming down for a surf. You just walk down, you place your board, look at the sun, you go on the board and you start paddling. There isn't much thinking in these steps or things I'm talking about. Like you keep already the moment you put your wetsuit on, you change your uniform. You're not in your regular clothes.
Exactly.
So forget all of that stress and everything out there.
Yeah.
Maybe get it back when you put your outfit on again. But once you're in a wetsuit, out of that game.
Yeah.
You're in the water now. Forget about it. You should focus just about what you're going to be doing in that session. Because afterwards you will feel great. You'll be like, I've been missing out.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you just release everything down that ocean, you go surf a couple of waves, even if the conditions aren't that great. Like just to go make a paddle out, maybe you find some friends there, you have some fun, you crack some jokes, you go out. Go outside, have some coffee,
Yeah.
It's literally just taking it easy and just thinking about what is supposed to be happening in this moment and what is going to be my next step.
I really like the balance.
Yeah, it's really important to have in
it's
life.
beautiful. Maybe I'm gonna become hooked as well.
Surfing is one of the things that I think it's an amazing thing to do actually.
Yeah, I do a lot of yoga, so that is a way for me to balance. But I think yoga and surfing are very connected.
It's very the same. Also, some positions from surfing when you're trying to pop up, you saw already they're more or less the same as doing yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't actually have any more questions for you because it was so insightful and I really discovered with you. If you want, you can play maybe one last little tune for us to finish off.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever you feel. I can't wait to hear it.
Okay. Let's see what we got here.
Thank you so much. Yassin, I really had a great time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And one day, maybe I'll have cool hair like you.
Like that.
When I asked you how you got it, you were like, yeah, it's just being in the sun and in the ocean. I was like, I've been doing that.
Well, actually, it is just from the sun in the ocean. Well,
Yeah, it's really nice.
it's a sign for you to be more on the beach.
Exactly.
So
Thank you so much. And I'm going to share your Insta profile,
Much
Rhythmic Locks.
appreciated. Yeah,
And
thank you.
all the music as well, the link. That's where people
Thank you
can
so
find
much.
your music.
So happy also that I was on this show and I appreciate it a lot.
It was
Thank you
super
so much.
inspiring for me. I'm going to have to listen to more techno.
That's gonna be great.
Thanks.
Yours. Thank you so much as well.
Woo.
Soy un pájaro salvaje con plumas cansadas del viaje.